Hello everyone, I'm Raven from Raven Comics, and in today's video, we continue with the story of future Tim Drake, who will receive a visit from his future friends who will try to stop him. We start in San Francisco at the Titans Tower. Let's remember that in the previous episode, the Batman of Tomorrow returned to this timeline with the intention of stopping Superboy. According to him, in the future, Superboy causes a great disaster. He practically turned into a bomb that detonated in Metropolis. His attempts to stop him were futile, and all he did was cause Superboy to lose control earlier than expected. John used his heat vision to attack the Titans Tower, severely injuring his team and the Batman of Tomorrow. Tim Drake knows he acted foolishly and miscalculated. He overlooked the emotional factor, and it almost cost him everything. To make things worse, the Teen Titans almost died. The priority now is to fix the damage to the cloaking device. He can't let the Titans of Tomorrow find him. They don't have to track him down, and he'll need to apply a distortion to avoid being located. The density of his physical signature is getting compromised with every passing hour. He can't let the timeline pull him back just yet, not until he finishes this mission. Batman is in the prototype room of the Titans' uniforms. He could use a new uniform to forge a new identity in a suit that can't be traced. Meanwhile, Damian Wayne is the first to regain consciousness and asks about the condition of his teammates. Tim continues preparing to take on his new identity. Now all he needs is to ensure that the cloaking device is synchronized and attached to the new suit. Damian asks about the vital signs of his teammates. The computer informs him that they're inconsistent but strong. Robin asks about Superboy, where he is, and why there's no reading on John. The computer searches, and Damian urges it to hurry. He needs to download John's status and current location right now. The computer finds him, and Robin immediately heads out to find his friend. Tim Drake is still working on his identity. The Batman cowl and symbol were never something he wanted. This is mainly because of what he saw before. He saw firsthand what it means to be a bat. The shadow haunted Bruce Wayne and covered him in great darkness. Tim promised himself that this was a legacy he could listen to when the time came, because his heart always wanted to operate in the daylight. Tim wanted to emerge like a rising sun. He never wanted to be a bat from hell, but rather a savior, so that will be his new name. Now we go to Robin and John. Damian asks John if he's okay. John responds with a no. He's a bit uneasy and asks Robin to return to the tower because he's worried about having hurt the Titans. Damian simply tells him to sit and relax. John thinks he might have killed the Titans, and it would all be his fault. Damian reassures him, telling him he recently checked the Titans' vital signs before rescuing him. They're all okay. Well, unconscious, but okay. John didn't hurt any of them. Then he tells him that what happened wasn't his fault. The Batman of Tomorrow pushed him to the limit. John doesn't want to run from the Teen Titans like this. He wants to go back and face everything head on. Damian tells him that the Titans aren't his only concern. The problem is Tim Drake. He fully intended to kill Batwoman. If that Batman of Tomorrow hadn't been dragged back to his timeline, he probably would have succeeded, and now he's trying to do the same with John. Damian admits, albeit reluctantly, that Tim Drake is good at what he does. Superboy tells him something he probably doesn't want to hear, but it seems like they're all a bit twisted. Damian is Tim's successor in both roles, as Robin and leader of the Teen Titans. Damian didn't think it would be so hard to separate the Tim from this timeline from the one from tomorrow, but it's still Tim Drake. Superboy asks who Damian is trying to contact on the communicator. Damian says his parents. His only rule might be never to ask for their help, but he knows his father would like to know Tim has shown up again. It'd be good to give him a heads up so he can prepare with all his resources. The problem is that he hasn't been able to contact Batman or Superman. John suggests they could go to the Fortress of Solitude or the Batcave. Robin doesn't want to do that because it'd be too risky. Tim knows their identities and could be waiting for them in those places. John wonders what exactly happened at the tower. Where did that power he used come from? And why does Tim think Superboy will use it in the future to kill innocents? Damian read Batman's files a while ago. He knows about Superman's solar flare. That's the power Superboy used. The solar flare is a power that Superman can control and use for good. But perhaps it's something uncontrollable and dangerous for John due to his mixed DNA. Superboy says that In that case, he won't be able to be near anyone. He'll have to stay alone somewhere. He doesn't want to be responsible for the deaths of innocent people in this or any timeline. Damian won't let that happen and promises to keep him safe. After all, they are friends, and friends always help each other. John, all this time, thought they were just teammates, but Damian tells him to shut up. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Titans of Tomorrow, Connor asks what they mean by they lost him. Just a few seconds ago, they were tracking Tim Drake's location, and now he's gone. Cassie explains that Tim was able to hide his energy signature again before the temporal lock could register it. They could triangulate and get closer, but they would lose him for several years. Bart doesn't want to take the risk. They need to find him precisely, not make a foolish attempt. Connor knows that lately, Tim has been obsessed with timelines from other worlds. Could there be a way to know what he's up to? Cassie tells him no. The last time Tim entered the timeline, whatever he did was erased. Everything returned to normal until he came back to his point of origin. It doesn't make sense. The timeline seems to be pulling him back suddenly, jumping entirely through time without intervals, completely out of control. This is dangerous and could cause severe harm to someone's mind. Wherever or whenever he is, Tim knows that time is running out. At some point, he knows he'll be completely pulled back, and there will be nothing he can do about it. Bart thinks they need to wait until the next phase of the interval and hopes Tim won't ruin the timeline. Meanwhile, in the current timeline, Wally has been scanning the area. Robin and Superboy have left this place. The only thing he found was this note. Raven mentions that Tim Drake is behind them. He reveals himself and says he's willing to talk. Raven tells him that if he really wanted to talk, he would put down his weapons. They may be from different timelines, but they still share an emotional connection. At this, Tim puts down his weapons. Beast Boy didn't know Tim was also a quick change artist. It seems like he stole one of his prototypes and tossed it into a blender. He remembers hearing him say once a Titan, always a Titan. Tim tells them there's not much left of his bat suit. Not after John attacked them. So he had to go to his closet, find something, and build a new suit. From now on, they'll have to call him Savior. Then, he asked them to look at the tower. They need to understand that he's not the bad guy. What's creepy is that what they witnessed was only a small sample of what Jonathan is capable of when pushed to his limit. However, according to Aqualad, it seems like Tim was the one who pushed him to his limit. Savior says that things could have been much worse. He's seen it, and thanks to Raven, they saw it too not long ago. Robin also saw what Superboy is capable of, yet he still decided to keep them away from the Teen Titans. Starfire tells him that it seems more like he's keeping them away from Tim. Savior clarifies that it's all of them. If no one stops John, many generations will be lost because of him. His mission here is simple. They need to get rid of him. They must work together and kill John. If Damian gets in the way, they'll have to kill him too. If the rest of the Teen Titans interfere, Tim will do whatever it takes to eliminate them. Starfire tells him that they will do the same. Beast Boy suggests they cut the drama. First of all, they need to clarify one thing. No one is going to kill anyone, but he leans toward believing that Tim's motivation is real. After all, they just witnessed some small fireworks, and Damian is the one escaping with that super bomb. Raven suggests capturing Superboy, removing his powers to contain him, and helping him. Those are the options for someone who hasn't unleashed their powers to commit a crime. If Tim Drake accepts these options, then they will help him. Savior agrees to this. Aqualad asks Raven what she means by saying they're going to help him. He hasn't agreed to anything. Starfire feels the same. She doesn't trust this Tim Drake at the moment and doesn't plan on bringing him to Robin and John. They mean too much to her, and she thinks some of the team is blinded by their relationship with the other Tim Drake, which is why they want to trust this one. But there's a lot they don't know about him. Tim tells them that time is of the essence and is running out. The longer they wait, the harder it will be to find them. Starfire reminds them that Robin asked for time, and they need to give it to him. Suddenly, something starts happening to Tim Drake's arm. The time phase is activating. Meanwhile, at the Titans of Tomorrow base, Cassie says the same thing. The time phase is activating. Time is fighting to locate Tim and bring him back to them. Something is materializing and transporting to the other timeline. Tim's arm is with the Titans of Tomorrow, and Bart is grabbing it. But his arm is a pure chronological artifact, broken by a different timeline. They must hold on, so the arm will lead them in his direction. Tim suffers from what's happening and tells them they have his hand, and they're coming for him. Starfire and the others want to give Robin more time, something they don't have. Raven has all the information she needs and has to do what she thinks is right. Raven says John's solar flare power is acting on a jamming frequency, like static electricity. They need to search carefully and find them. Beast Boy agrees. Tim has shown his cards, and they can't ignore it. They need to help Tim and find Robin and John to fix this. Starfire tries to stop Raven from leaving. Raven insists on doing it, but first she'll do the following. In the pure light of day, they will rebuild not just their headquarters, but also their faith and trust in each other. Everything they've been seeing are just memories that Raven projected into the Teen Titans. She used a telepathic blow to keep them occupied long enough to escape from here with Beast Boy and Tim Drake. Starfire knows it won't be long before Raven is able to find Robin and John. Aqualad says they've had enough of all this bad stuff and asks them to focus on the good things. John emits an unmistakable energy signature, and they're on an island surrounded by water, which means Aqualad knows where they are.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm TJ Prime, and see you in the next video.